Hello, I'm Lucy from the Folk Forecast, and I'm here with Laurel Swift, who's here to tell us all about her folk musical project, Travelling with Thomas. Hi, Laurel, how's it going?
Hi, Lucy. Yeah, good. Thank you. Thanks for having us here.
So it's really great to hear about Travelling with Thomas. For anyone who hasn't heard about it before, could you tell us a bit about how the project began and how you've got to this point?
Absolutely, yeah. So basically, I wanted to write a folk musical because I thought that would be fun. I love music and dance and song and sort of where they all meet and story, So I thought it'd be fun, and I also really love sort of the artistic process and love seeing behind things. Like, I'm not particularly into watching movies, but I do like seeing the behind the scenes kind of aspects of them. So I wanted to set out to make a folk musical in public so people could see behind the scenes in real time as we're making it. And I've been working with a theatre designer called Lizzie Watts the whole way through. And I've been kind of doing the music side, and she's been kind of dealing with what it might look like.
Great. And so this is the second phase, is that right? So what happened in phase one?
So phase one, we did four sets of showcases over a year, which was crazy. And I was writing music and Lizzie was making artwork. So we were doing these little showcases that showcased some music and had an exhibition. And we explored a different part of the story. So we're working with the traditional story, Thomas the Rhymer, which is kind of a trad ballad. And we're sort of exploring different parts of that story. So the landscape, or like groups of people in the story, or individual characters. And yeah, kind of looking at all of that. And we didn't really know, I wasn't sure if I could write music at the start of the project. So it was really just to kind of dip our toes in. And we didn't necessarily expect to keep anything, but we hoped to create the feel of the world in which the story happens sort of in that first year. But I think we did more than that. I think we also kind of gave people a taste of what it might sound like, as well as how it might feel. So
Was there anything that you found out in phase one that's going to feed into phase two, like how it was received by the audience or anything like that?
Yeah, kind of loads. People really liked being part of the process and being able to kind of have their say and think about things. So we very much were like, let's keep that element going. That works. And then some of the main characters we kind of found. There's Thomas the Rhymer, and there's the Fairy Queen. And we kind of had this narrator, the kind of who didn't have much of a shape at that point. But I think those characters in particular, and then I just did loads and loads of research on fairy stories generally. So that kind of sort of feel of, like, I don't know, just the poverty of like fairy stories and just the horrendousness of all those illnesses, and that sort of slightly uneasy fairyland sort of came with us as well.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know the story very well, what kind of themes does it cover?
So basically, Thomas is a person. He's out in the woods. He meets the Fairy Queen. She tells him he's the Fairy Queen, and that if he kisses her, he'll have to go with her. So he does, and they go, and they have this crazy journey. They end up in fairyland, and then basically he has to escape as soon as he gets there. That's sort of the nutshell, and it's a lot of themes about sort of love and fairness, and I think kind of power and responsibility, and like seeing through things through a different lens. And time, yeah, it's kind of, time works really differently in fairyland. So yeah.
Do you think the situation that we're in now has fed into it a bit as well?
Oh, it's definitely fed into the songwriting. Yeah. There's a lot of like isolation and missing people has really kind of crept in. And yeah, that distance of, in fairyland, it's one night in fairyland is 7 years in the real world. And that sort of, that thing of being separated more than you realize, or not knowing how long you'll be away for. Yeah, that's definitely made its way in.
Yeah, it's kind of seeps into everything at the moment.
It does, doesn't it? It really does.
So you're doing a showcase from the 25th to the 28th of February to share those performances. So what can people expect if they come along to those?
So we have So this phase, so we did some showcases in June with some dancers, and it was entirely online, and that was great fun and a huge learning curve. And what we found was we really wanted to get a bit more into the story. So this, what people will come in February is us really starting to get to grips with the story. And we worked with 4 fabulous actors in October and Debs Newbold, storyteller. And we kind of drilled down into that story and found things out. The actors were really great devisers. So you'll see some really behind the scenes, like really work in progress footage of us playing with things and trying things out, the kind of preliminary characters that observed. All of the actors kind of tried all sorts of things out, but each of them came up with a really likable character. So we've got some kind of monologues from those fledgling characters. And then in addition, I wrote some songs in response to that development workshop. And so we've got 4 folk acts that will be performing those songs. And again, it's all very just people at home singing, playing through the songs. So, and then, yeah, have Debs and I and Lizzie will be there every day. We'll have a different actor in each day. The actors all do have names, by the way. We've got May Muno, Sophie Jacob, Leander Inarti, Lewis Nayo, and Jacob Siloshan. And they're just great. They're such a good bunch. They're really fun, really nice, really funny. So yeah, you'll get to see the characters that they kind of started inventing. And then, yeah, we'll keep our interactive stuff with the audience going as well. So there'll be opportunities, there'll be little Zoom polls and opportunities to kind of have your say. There'll be things we kind of ask you to discuss at home and then type in the chat. And you don't have to get involved in that stuff, but it's really fun.
I think interaction is good. I think that's what everyone's missing at the moment. If anything that involves anything that can bring that interaction and connection really helps a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, you know, last time people got to ask questions at the end and things, and it's nice. Yeah, it's just nice to feel engaged and feel like your opinion matters and sort of, yeah, be part of it.
Yeah, definitely. So have they created those characters completely from scratch, or was there a bit of a brief to begin with?
Yeah, so kind of Debs did loads of, so devising is kind of, it's just a really playful approach to theatre. So it's sort of trying something out and then trying it again in a different way, and like this scenario and that scenario. So we started with the story, with the traditional story, and kind of I sort of told the story as I know it, and then Debs asked the actors to kind of go through and say what they remember, and then from that, sort of all those bits and pieces, we kind of dove, is that a word? Dived into different bits. And it, yeah, it sort of all came out of that. Yeah, lots of physical stuff and lots of nice ideas.
That's great. So how about the musicians? What musicians have you got taking part, and how did you choose who you're going to get involved with?
Yeah, so we've got 4 lots. So Lady Maisery going to do one of the songs, and Cohen, Brathwaite-Kilcoyne, and the Vox Hunters, who are from the States, and Avital Raz. And I think I'm so pleased that everyone's on board. And I think as I kind of finished each song, I was kind of like, who would I love to hear performing this? So yeah, I kind of feel like, yeah, each of the acts I'd chosen because I thought they might suit the song really well. And it was sort of, yeah, just lucky that everyone was up for it. And
yeah, and did they turn out how you expected, or did the artist?
So I haven't heard all of them yet. I've heard the Lady Maisery one, which is absolutely beautiful, really, really lovely. And then I've heard Cohen's in progress, and it's amazing. He's doing all sorts of fancy, lovely stuff on the concertina, and he's such a good storyteller. So that's coming out beautifully. But yeah, Bone and Almond from Vox Hunters, I haven't heard any progress on that yet. No, I have on Avatars, but I know that they're all working on it. So we're going to get together with all of those artists later this week, and before they record their final versions. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going.
Yeah, that's great. And are there some other artworks and things involved as well?
Yeah, so Lizzie's been editing our videos as well as doing her role of doing the artwork. And there's some of them are starting to make their way out on our Instagram, which is Traveling with Thomas. And yeah, so there's going to be, we're not quite sure yet exactly how they're gonna, what the final mode will be, but maybe some kind of character sketches of these fledgling characters in some way. Yeah, it's interesting. With the actors, we were in for 3 days, and we just traveled so far in that time, and we kind of had all these sort of characters floating about. When I started writing songs, I've got 4 I finished and another 8 that I didn't finish, because it was just so rich, and there were so many great kind of great characters that came out of it. So yeah, very much, yeah.
No, it's great to have that kind of mixed media approach of having different elements to it. So the showcases are running on 4 evenings, so are they all going to be the same or a little bit different?
More or less the same. So the bulk of the artistic work will be showing on film, so those films will be the same each time. But the 4 actors, Leander, Jacob, Sophie and May, will do 1 day each. So they'll be in 1 day, and we'll kind of do a bit of sort of, in like live in conversation, we kind of get to watch people chatting with Debs and them, so kind of just talking about it a bit. So yeah, one of those will be in each day, but otherwise everything else you'll get to see it no matter which day you come.
Great.
And I'm sure we'll hone the questions as we go for the audience, and the ones that work, we'll keep them going. And
yeah, and it's totally a live thing, isn't it? So you can't watch it again afterwards.
No, you have to. Yeah, it's just live. Yeah. So come. Yeah.
You have to come. This is your only chance.
Exactly.
So what's next for the development of the project after you've done the showcases?
We're getting pretty close. It sort of feels like we've been trying it out and doing little bits and pieces forever. So the next thing I want to do, we've got the last bit of our Arts Council England grant is in June, and I'm hoping to do a 2-week kind of in the room, so everybody in the room together, actors and dancers and musicians, and kind of sketch out a sort of a draft version of the whole thing. That's what we're hoping to do. So that's a little bit subject to COVID, because we could working with 6 of us in the room in October was fine. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping that's going to be practical. But yeah, that's we're getting very close to kind of beginning to put a whole show together.
Yeah, sounds great. And then will you be touring it around? Is that the hope?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do after that. So once we've got a show, there's kind of lots of options for what we could tour first, and whether we do a full show, or whether we do a tour of the music, or whether we've kind of engaged enough people to, by then. But yeah, basically the next stage after that will be to get it out there and get it on tour. So
sounds great. So where can people find out more about the project and get tickets?
Great. So best place is our website, which is www.travellingwiththomas.co.uk. And also highly recommend going to our Instagram, which is, the handle is Travelling with Thomas, which has just so much of the artwork and all the videos of the previous stuff, and some little teasers for what's to come.
That's great. Thank you so much for telling us all about it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having us and asking us about it. Thank you.